Hi, and thanks for tuning in to Conversations with India AI, our leadership podcast series, where we give you a glimpse into the workings of successful tech leaders, their eureka moments, their tribulations, and much more. Today, I have with me Vijay Navaluri of TechForce AI, and he is creating something very, very exciting in the space of AI and trying to really sort of revolutionize the workforce as we know it today. And since we're pretty much on the brink of the future of work, and the whole dynamic when it comes to working from home has essentially changed the way we live and work today, it'll be great to hear what Vijay really has to say in terms of how his company, his startup is sort of changing the dynamics. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me today.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the genesis of TechForce AI. Really, what really gave you the idea to start this company?
Sure. I mean, it's been an interesting genesis that we had, back when I was actually working in the US with the firms like Deloitte, Capgemini. We realized there's so much of work that we used to do on day to day, and I used to really slog out to 14 hours a day. We used to have, a Monday to Thursday weeks, and a lot of travel, a lot of work, and once one project, one customer is done, we used to do the same thing with another customer, pretty much. Yes, but we used to think it's very different. But yeah, we used to do the same stuff most of the time. We used to do it different customer to customer. So this is back in 2007, and then it's been like that for almost till 2015. I've been working with different consulting firms, doing different types of digital transformation initiatives. And all the time, what I saw is the time that we spend on work was just increasing. Now, I mean, thanks to laptops, we used to complain on laptops that time. Then thanks to now the cloud, everything is just making you work more easier.
Ever connected, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about making you work longer, easier.
Yeah.
So that's what I felt sometime. Personally felt really our time is being sucked up by work, and if humanity gets its time back, we could do a lot many interesting things. Focus on some large problems that we are all ignoring conveniently because we are actually living in our own bubbles of work, not really focusing on what's happening with climate, what's happening with people around us, not spending enough time and relationship with our own families, right? So I felt there is a way to claim your time back, and the only way to do it is actually bringing everybody an assistant in this world, and use automation as an enabler for it. So that's when the thought process happened in 2010-12. Then in around 14-15 time, I spoke to my super boss, who I was working with a couple of friends, and the idea has been developing. And the cloud came, and then AI started becoming mainstream. And 2017 is when we thought, okay, let's plan. Now it's the time to start building an AI workforce and assistant company, which actually with the vision that everybody should have an assistant in the world. Assistant.
That makes sense. I think it's a very noble thought that you're trying to enable every employee today with time that is actually meaningful. But how does this actually really work? Like, if you could, it'd be great if you could explain with an example how your startup is really helping and augmenting workforces today.
Absolutely. So every customer that we have today, I'll take a wealth management customer that we have. When we went into the company and we spoke to them, saying that how can we help? They said they shown us a floor of people, just applying emails, taking calls, stretching morning 7 to evening 11, and still with a backlog of 1,000+ issues that they need to resolve for their customers. And they can't just scale like that, and they can't just put people to keep doing the same thing every day, every time, more of that. And or you actually expand more and more people, but you don't have volume. Sometimes you have volumes like that sometimes. So the economics don't work. Everything you can just feed people to it. You need to have a alternative approach to it. So that's where I'm just giving an example where now we're able to give 30 such assistants to those guys today. These assistants are actually now enabling answering emails, looking at emails, answering emails, taking calls, and instantly replying across different social channels like WhatsApp. So and across different engagement channels of customers. This itself is a significant savings of time, and most importantly, better customer experience. Both coming, right? The employee experience is improving because these guys are not stretching anymore. They have their own assistants doing all the legwork, and they only have to supervise and actually work on the exceptions than the standard repetitive stuff. but at the same time, customers are getting much more faster, better experiences. So I think this is one classic example of where everybody wins. You're delivering better employee experience, we are giving better customer experience. At the same time, companies able to do more with less than trying to scale up unnaturally, and which is not going to be sustainable for them, right? It's a sustainable growth approach for an organization as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting perspective, and I must add a question here, which which sort of just came to me right now. So, by and large, Indian workforces at least have thrived on not really having specific skill sets. I think they have sort of survived and sustained in the ordinary and the usual. I think it's only recently where specialized skill sets have really come into being. So, how does your startup really address that gap, because there are some people who literally go from day to day, 9 to 5, just doing the same thing over and over again. And I think in a sense, you're mundane way of work and trying to do something more meaningful. So how are you really sort of filling that gap in a sense? I mean, what do you have to say about that?
So what happens is nobody actually is born to do a specific type of work, right? And all of us have learned the skill all the time since our first job. Most of the times in India, if you look at our education and our job has very less relevance. So all of us have picked up what we do, how we do, actually in day-to-day life, and the world has been changing since last 10 years significantly. There are a lot of new skill sets coming, new way of doing things are coming. So I don't think continuously learning, continuously evolving, adapting is an option, and at the same time. And we've been good at it, and there are so many new job roles and sets that we have seen in last 5, 7, 10 years they never existed 10 years before. So I don't think it's a long-term problem. There will be cyclical adjustment issues, but we as humans are really good at figuring things out and learning new stuff and moving forward to next best available skill, which actually will get you a job. In that sense, companies like ours or any AI company, I think what our also responsibility is to build those technology or stuff so easy to anybody to adopt them to bring the gap bridge the gap and bring the gap smaller to the people to a democratized technology level that anybody can start interfacing, that playing their own role in this whole next generation automation workforce, right? So I think that's what we are doing as TechForce by building our own set of tools, which actually without any major coding experience, you can start being part of AI economy. Doing your own part of it, whether you could be as simple as somebody who does a quality check on what our AI does, or it could be, new generation jobs are coming, right? You need to manage AI now. That's a different skill set. You need to do quality with AI. These are interesting new age jobs, and people can switch to those new age roles. You can also, now starting up and doing some work is much more easier because AI is reducing the cost of, starting up something and delivering something to end customers. So I think we will overall, as an ecosystem, everybody is trying to make it easier for the skills to be adapted and the technologies to be much more massive, reach mass scale, while economy, the progress is happening at the workplace.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think, the conversation, the needle of the conversation also really has to change from will AI take my job to what can I do to really make the AI better? So I think, your companies
and believe me, there's a lot of help AI needs from humans. So it's nowhere nearby that, I think next 10 years, you will see so many jobs augmenting AI, enabling AI, helping AI to become better. I think there's a whole set of AI trainers, AI coaches will be coming into the market in different ways. I mean, this is the optimistic side I see, and I don't think a technology like AI is required to look at what's wrong with current situation, right? Like a pandemic like that could have caused so many job losses. So you can't attribute one technology or one area that technology is changing everything, and people are losing jobs because of technology. There can be so many other dynamics. The jobs that we do can be lost and may not be relevant anymore in the market.
True.
So I think it's important to and be part of the ecosystem and adapt and get those skills and there's so much opportunity and so many problems to solve in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I think you also mentioned something about being low code and basically easy to access. So can you tell me a little bit more about that, and how is that really sort of helping your company become an easy partner to work with?
Absolutely. So today, if you look at AI, right, just 2 years before and today, and I'm sure if you just a little bit slide to next 2 to 3 years, the massive investment that is going in building AI solutions or technologies and tools, including a company like ours, is about making AI simpler for everybody to use, right? There are ecosystems like Microsoft, Google, AWS, Amazon, and Facebook. They are big ecosystems there, and working in the same cause. There are a lot of startups working like us in different niche areas, right? But all of us are, I think, what the progressive moment happening is these low-code tools are actually making it easier for people to build and manage AI solutions, automation solutions.
Right.
It could be a consumer-centric application, as simple as an email to e-commerce app where you're using and getting right recommendations for yourself and all that. Coming to a B2B side, an enterprise side, where you're actually helping companies to be more efficient in their business processes, companies to be more customer centric, more growth oriented, in running their business. Any of these areas, people are coming with these solutions for different users, to make it easier for them to adapt AI. So in that journey, what TechForce does is I know our focus is helping every worker to have an assistant. So we want to make sure that our assistants are as easily configurable, adaptable, and we have, by the way, a long way to go, but as easy to, as hiring an assistant in person, it should be as same experience of hiring a digital assistant or a colleague for you. And that is our product and roadmap is, and every month, every quarter, every year, we are making progress towards that.
Okay, makes sense. So you touched upon the different assistants. So it'll be great if you could elaborate a little bit on that, and also tell me in terms of what else is there in the product pipeline for TechForce in the future.
Absolutely. So this is where the most exciting part, right, for us is talk about product. It's easier for a startup.
Yeah.
So what we currently doing is, while we have a very strong platform, right? Platform in the sense where you can create these assistants at scale and run them. All the technology side of it, we made it as we're in the journey of making it as simple as possible to a non-technical user also to learn and do it in if not days, in weeks. I think that's where we stand today, right? If you take an example of assistants, we have 4 e-workers, we call them, or 4 major assistants that we are right now in the market as a SaaS company. We are one of the earliest SaaS companies in the space where you actually can hire a digital employee on a monthly or annual basis, right? We are trying to innovate from the commercial angle as well, where we are not trying to have software with license or a subscription. We are trying to give a digital employee as a subscription. But itself is a change in terms of how customers are thinking about software, right? They are not trying to buy a software and implement it and license it, subscribe it as a SaaS, but they are now trying to hire employees, virtual employees in their organization. So in that journey, the 4 e-workers that we have, the CX Ninja, HR Holly, INDIAai, Supplier Sam, these are actually addressing different stakeholders of an organization. CX Ninja is our customer assistant. HR Holly is our employee assistant. INDIAai is our IT assistant for doing all your IT support and helping with all IT issues. Then Supplier is the 4th important stakeholder, the vendor assistant. So we are covering major stakeholders of a business to help provide them those assistants. You give an assistant to every employee, give an assistant to every customer, give an assistant to every supplier of your organization, so that they can get their better experiences and deal with your, reduce the complexity of working with your technology lower and automate all the work that normally that needs to be done for them. So these are the, I would say, avatars that we released in the market today. And the roadmap wise, we are trying to add more and more self-service features. So how can you make a customer assistant on by yourself in less than 30 minutes and create a contact center agent, right? For example, a call center agent, create an AI contact center agent in 30 minutes and start taking calls for your business. Imagine what take an e-commerce brand trying to sell in Amazon, trying to sell in their own website, can have a call center of their own, right? Without having to invest in people, without having to invest in a lot of technology. In half an hour, you get an AI call center employee who actually can take calls for your brand and start answering questions and try to sell more, your product. So that's the kind of experience we are trying to go into the market now. That we're trying to make it much more self-service. That's what is in the roadmap, what we're working on.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for your time, Vijay. It was really nice talking to you. I think you've sort of set the precedent for a new sort of a future of work today. And I think with remote work becoming more and more of a reality, I think products which are being rolled out like companies like yours will be way more relevant in the times to come. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you can follow all our updates on website and our social channels. And we'll be back very soon with another exciting story. Until then, stay safe, stay connected. Thanks, Vijay.